we'll see how it is, but you branched off into it, so I will say let's move totally into it here.
Sure.
The Thunder. Right now they're 8-2. They're tied with the Warriors and the Suns for best record in the West. However, this is a team that will be missing Chet Holmgren from a pelvic fracture from a hard fall. He's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. They already have, like you said, Jay Will was already dealing with injury as well.
Yep,
Dave,
hamstring.
can this
And
team
Hartenstein
survive? And Hartenstein. Can this team survive injuries? Yes or no?
They will be playing the smallest of small ball ever. I legitimately am curious. I got to see who they started tonight as we record this. Let me take a quick peek at the box. Who do they choose for their starting lineup? Oh, Jalen Williams, Shea, Isaiah Joe. They went Wiggins and Dort. No. J-Dub is playing.
J-Dub, okay.
Jalen Williams, J Will is out.
All these J Wills is confuses me, man. I know they're two different guys, but come on.
So right now the tallest person on their team is J-Dub, but or I should say in their starting lineup, but they're probably having Dort guard centers. So they're going 5 guards basically. That's wild. They're going up against the Clippers tonight, which Clippers have Zubac, who's been killing it, but we'll see how Harden and him attack. Make it work.
Like you said, we're recording this while they're playing. Zubac right now has 4 points but 7 boards.
Yeah, I mean that's they should get abused on the boards, and they are. They're minus 11 on the boards already, and we're not even at halftime.
Yeah.
So the Thunder are gonna have to change their play style. Mark Dagnall's gonna really have to earn himself his Coach of the Year votes after this challenge, because again, 3 centers out. All 3 of your centers are out. What do you like?
Yeah.
I mean, Ousmane Dieng gonna be playing some center for them. Kendrick Williams will be playing some center for them. Dylan Jones. Like, we're just gonna throw names and bodies out there until we find something that works. I don't know if they can truly play small ball enough successfully, but in theory, Chet's out for 8 to 10. Jay Will should be back in about 4 weeks, maybe. And Hartenstein is, if I'm doing my math correctly, maybe good to go in 3 weeks. Maybe 3 to 4 weeks. So almost, 3 weeks. We'll just say conservatively 3 weeks worth of games without a center on your roster who's healthy. That's tough. They'll struggle a little bit, but they're just so talented, man. This is a team who's just dumb talented. Like, they just have so many draft picks, oodles and oodles of talent and defense everywhere. So they'll play gritty. I think they might stumble in the standings a little bit. Like, I could see them fall down a little bit just because the West is so loaded. But truly, I think this is going to be the don't panic. And if we make it through here with any sort of a positive record for that 3 week span, 3 to 4 week span, that's the true litmus test for this team and any tweaks they need to make from a roster standpoint. Because remember, they have all the draft capital. They have a ton of young talent who they can trade. So if you need to upgrade something, you're gonna know by December, by Christmas, this roster should know what they need and what they don't need, which would be really helpful for them long term. So, while I think that they're going to struggle a little bit because they just don't have height, and they're going to lose on rebounds, maybe they can outshoot teams and defense in the perimeter be enough, and they'll just go change the defensive scheme a little bit to play a lot of help defense, maybe some zone, a lot of off-ball help coming in from Case and Wallace, guys like that. We'll see. Maybe they fall down. That's my guess is they're going to drop a couple spots.
So 8 weeks brings us to from right now. I know it's not going to be exactly this date, but we're going to use the date from today. 8 weeks would be January 6th, which means first game back would be January 8th against Cleveland. I just did really quickly their games starting with not this one, but the one on Wednesday.
Sure thing.
All the way through to January 6th. And I came up with 3 categories. good, in the middle, bad. Which basically the good teams are like, okay, there's possibility you lose those games. In the middle, it's like, oh, what team are you going to meet on the other side? Because they can be good or bad. Right. And then the bad is like, you should win these games. I've got, let's see, 7 good, where it's like you're going to have some serious struggles. 7 in the middle, 8 bad. So that is like a...
It could be worse, is what I'm hearing.
Basically 8 and 7, and depending on, like, the teams in that, like, middle tier that I'm thinking of, San Antonio, Miami, Indiana, Memphis, Minnesota, or I think Memphis I put good, but like Minnesota, where it's like, these are teams that can beat you without Chet. But if you have a star game from SGA and he just goes supernova, you can beat these teams. Where like the bad teams are like the Pelicans, the Jazz, the Raptors, the Magic, the Hornets, like, and then the good, it's like you play the Warriors, you play Dallas. I put the Lakers in there right now.
The Warriors is a team they can match up with because playing centerless basketball is not going to. The Warriors can't punish you for not having a center.
Yeah, like, but it's just who goes supernova. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you got Steph Curry out there playing like he is, like.
But I mean, again, and I know I think we've already seen them play it, but like, it is so matchup dependent on just knowing that they're probably going to lose rebounds. They're probably going to, lose some presence in the paint, but they're going to have just oodles of perimeter defense, which is they should be able to punish or not punish, but like maintain their positioning against teams like the Warriors. I think. But the Warriors just decided,
so what? Maybe
like they did against the Celtics, then there ain't no help,
So like maybe like the Spurs and the T-Wolves should be pushed over into the good category instead of in the middle because
they have a big, But at the same time, I still think that they could beat the Spurs. Like Wemby has been
not
interesting,
except for Depoy.
Yeah, we could probably still hope that he's got a really good shot at Depoy because of the insane amount of blocks and steals.
What, 7 in his last game?
Yeah. Yep. He continues to swat the ball very well. But I just think that this Thunder team will find out a lot about the role players. I think that's the cool thing about it is I like seeing like role players like get a chance to step up. They might be one of the best teams when it comes to drafting guards, but they really haven't landed on a great wing. And that's a little concerning now. Like Usman Jang is like they put a lot of hopes into after they went through the Pokusevski draft pick.
Yeah,
and it was just like we see them taking like swings on these wings, and I'm just like, you guys really haven't landed. You got J-Dub, and that's about it. Like Lou Dort's a guard. Shea you didn't draft, but you knew the talent was guard. Kaysen guard. Isaiah Joe you picked up from the Sixers. But guard, Aaron Wiggins guard, AJ Mitchell guard. Like they might be one of the best guard like eyes for talent. Dylan Jones is the weirdo who's like
the weirdo.
No, like I mean not in a good way. Like he's got a skill set that in college made him like dynamic because he worked basically as like a super strong guy in the paint, but who had like guard like skills.
Yeah.
But because he's so undersized, I don't know, like in the NBA, we've seen he looked amazing in a preseason game. He looked really good in like one game, but then other times it's just like, I don't know how he helps you win games right now. So I truly am a little curious to see if they can get big step ups out of guys. But the team is so stacked with potential and young talent. They could flip a couple things if they hit panic mode and say they go on a slide and go like 3-7 or 4-6 even. Like it's the West, so that's bad, but like they got options that if they want to go get themselves a wing, they could go buy a wing. If they want to go get themselves a center, they could go buy a center. Like that's the crazy thing. Right now you hear all this talk about like what if the Bucks keep struggling? Could OKC like do a grandfather offer and get Giannis? Like they absolutely could. No, they absolutely could.
I don't think it happens though.
They could though.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the Sixers. Like, if the Sixers continue to struggle, But the name is what? Kelly Oubre compared to Giannis or Dame. I think Dame gets traded before Giannis.
Oh.
If we're talking about the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, Bucks for sure would probably prefer to move on from Dame quicker than Giannis, who, like, built the city, won the championship. They have that very tight relationship.
Apparently doesn't know how to look at a contract before he signs it.
Does not.
Which I don't believe.
Yeah, nobody does. It was one of those moves that you throw out there to get the good publicity. And credit to him for it.
I don't know. I kind of look at this team, though, with the Thunder, and I go, now, 8 weeks, it's like, good thing, the positive silver lining is this happened early in the season.
Sure.
That Chet coming back, even if it's like the middle or the end of January, you still have February, March, April, May, and then, like, I think the season ends either end of May or like first week of June, right around there. You still have like 4 months with him to get into them playoff mode. I have a feeling this team, if they struggle during these like next 20 or so games during his absence, we could see I can't remember what year it was with Cleveland, where Cleveland was so low in the standings because they had injuries. And it was like, no, it doesn't matter. They have LeBron James.
Yeah.
Like, this team, the only thing this team needs to worry about is not being in the play-in. And I say that, I say that because if this injury, if they play so bad that we're looking back like, man, this team would have been in the play-in if this injury didn't happen, then you're panicking because then you're definitely playing the number 1 or the number 2 seed in the first round.
The only way that happens is if Jay Will and Hartenstein both have setbacks. And again, both those guys should be back in the next, 4 to 6 weeks, we're hoping. So I think they should be able to get through that patch with just those guys. Like, once they get those guys combined, shouldn't be like horrible. Let's put it that way. Like, Hartenstein was legit one of the best centers in basketball last year defensively for the Knicks. And I get it. The Knicks also had like a lot of complimentary guys for him. But in general, him on this team, insane defensive presence. So like, I think it's one down month. And I don't think we hit the panic button. I think we're going to test some things out between these five guard lineups. And seeing how that happens, how that works out. If guys continue shooting well enough, like, you're probably going to be in most games. I'm just a little concerned over, some guys not shooting well. Some guys like Alex Caruso.
Have we won the trade? Have we won the trade, Dave?
Not to be a hater, but he is shooting 27, 18, 60.
Yeah.
Now, those stats aren't good. His defense is good. But can you have a non-shooter out there? I don't know. Got to figure it out, Caruso.
The last thing I will say, Dave, you love Caruso.
Yeah, it's impossible not to.
Like, last thing I'll say is I compare it to like that Cleveland year, and like Cleveland didn't drop super low. I just remember us on the fast break 2017, 2018, like, man, this team's not going to be the number 1 or the number 2 seed. Is that like first take? Is that going to hurt LeBron? And Stephen A would sit there and go like, well, it doesn't matter. They have LeBron James. He could be the 8th seed. Like, I remember even me saying that on the podcast. Here's the only difference now that like I'm back in that mind frame looking at these playoff brackets.
Yeah.
Here's the only difference. Even if the Thunder, because of this, end up being like the 4th seed, let's say it ends up being like Suns, then Denver, Golden State, whichever you want to put them, 2, 3, and then OKC at 4. Here's the only difference, Dave. In the second round, the Cavaliers, they beat Indy in 7 in that first round. Guess who they played in the second round? I'll give you a hint.
Chicago?
I'll give you a hint. LeBron is their father.
The Raptors.
They played the Raptors, and they swept them. The only difference is the Thunder are not going to meet a team in the second round like the Raptors were to LeBron.
I mean, I don't know that we necessarily have a team that's like OKC's so young that you can't say like they own a team yet. They had a really good run in the playoffs last year, and we saw Chet basically get worn down because he played every game basically, and played against centers, and they went out and addressed it. They got one of the best defensive centers to add to their team.
Yeah.
He's just been hurt to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think they have a matchup issue at all. Like I think you're going into the playoffs with a couple months of Chet. You're hoping February through to the playoffs. You got Chet and Hartenstein together. You figure out what rotation works best between them, trade enough time, fill in all 48 minutes, whether it's Chet at the 4 for like half the game and then Chet at the 5 for half the game, or how you want to play that out. It doesn't really matter. You got a couple months, basically 3+ months to figure that out together. That's the goal. I don't think there's a team like that is. I'm trying to think of like matchups that would be like bad for them. No, well, it's just if stars get hot, stars get hot, and like we haven't seen Shea be able to push through that yet. Like we saw Anthony Edwards and Kat and Gobert, barrel down over Jokic and overpower him. But then we also saw Luka and Kyrie do insane work.
Yeah.
PJ Washington have like an all-time series kind of thing. Like, I don't know. The West is total toss-up. I truly don't think there's a bad matchup for the Thunder. Like the same way we were talking about Jokic and the Nuggets, very different story. They are entirely matchup dependent. OKC is like any series should work out nicely in their favor.
Well, it's also like a lot of people are going to probably say in the comments, Ricky, you can't compare it to that Cleveland year because I get it. They're two different years. The one thing I will say that helps the Thunder's case is with Cleveland that year, Indy, like I said, Indy, they go to 7.
Yep.
But like after that, we knew what LeBron does to the Raptors, and he swept them. And then let's be honest, that Boston series, that was the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, first time in the Eastern Conference Finals, and everyone kind of like not thought, but like had an idea of like, oh man, like Jason Tatum could overtake this moment and knock LeBron out in game 7 or even before that. And the young Celtic team just couldn't get it done. The Thunder are not going to meet a team, like you said, they're not going to meet a team that's a mismatch like LeBron and the Raptors have always been. And they're not going to like, just going off of like, because Boston was the 2 seed that year. They are not going to meet a team that is a 2 seed in this West that it's like, oh man, this team is inexperienced. I'll say this, there's probably not a team that they'll meet in the 2nd or 3rd round that will be inexperienced at all. Unless I'm like totally missing something.
No.
Because like the only team that would be inexperienced because like would not have any like playoff experience would be like if they met the Rockets.
Yeah.
And I'm just going off of the standings right now.
Yeah. The Rockets aren't a guarantee to stay in.
Exactly.
Like right now, Dallas is 5-5 and at the 10 seed. Dallas isn't going to be a 10 seed. We all know that.
Yeah.
So actually, that they're so far down. That's what's crazy. 5-5 is that far down. They're actually the 11th, 12th. Oh, because ties.
Because of ties. So they'd be the 11th right now.
11th seed,
Yeah.
Wild. So no, I think you're right. As far as an experience goes, they are the least experienced team technically, because at least the majority of those teams' cores have playoff experience, if not together on their own. Like Golden State, like still has Steph and Draymond and Wiggins, and you just maybe Memphis, depending on who's healthy, who's not. They had that one great year, but outside of that, like they were playing,
Yep.
So we'll see. But the future's still bright. It just really stinks that Chet got this injury, and I mean it was a hard fall too.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable watch. Thankful it was just a hip, and it's not like spine plus something too. So could have been worse.
As always, we'd like to thank the people that make these videos possible, our patrons whose names are displayed on the screen now. If you would like to become a patron, go ahead and click the Patreon icon in the bottom right. And if you'd like to check out another video from MVP Sports, hit the video in the upper left. As always, thanks for watching.